Our correspondent Li Jianhua has been speaking to another candidate. If successful, Carolyn Rodrigues-Birkett would become the first Caribbean head of the United Nations.
The UN was not built for easy times. It came after very difficult times, after World War II. And so it was established to deal with global challenges. And as we look at the three pillars of the UN, whether it is on the peace and security pillar, on the development pillar, or the human rights pillar, in setting my priorities, I've situated them along the pillars, looking at how we can work harder to prevent and to end conflicts. And on the development side, as you are well aware, we are not close to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. And the term of the Secretary General will see the member states looking at the post-2030 agenda. And I also believe that while we must put human rights at the center of everything we do in the UN, if we're able to have more peace and security, more development, we will be able to have more dividends in human rights as well.
You have described your approach as pragmatic yet principled. But what happens when pragmatism and the principle point in different directions? What would you do?
Pragmatism and principle do not have to be mutually exclusive. For me, when I speak about pragmatism, I'm speaking about being sensible, being practical, looking for what works. And if by chance you have a situation where pragmatism and principle will diverge, the Secretary General must turn to the UN Charter and to international law.
And you spent 2 years representing Guyana at the Security Council. Was there any moments that really convinced you that the UN needs to change? And now?
The Security Council is empowered by the Charter to act. And there were times when I thought that the Security Council could have done more.
Mm-hmm. And how about Gaza and West Bank? And what do you think that you would do if you are appointed as the UN Secretary General to deal with the humanitarian crises?
Well, first of all, what is happening in Gaza and the West Bank, as we know, is linked to the larger situation of moving to a two-state solution. There are many resolutions of the UN, both the General Assembly and the Security Council. And whatever the Secretary General is required to do must be guided by those resolutions.
I think the question is, what would you do differently?
My understanding is that we have had some improvements, let's say compared to 9 months ago or 10 months ago, but the situation is still very dire. So I would want to do an assessment, to talk with all who are working on this, to make sure that whatever we do is to improve the situation and not to make it worse.
And lastly, what would you hope to achieve at the end of your tenure if you're appointed?
It's a little bit presumptuous to think about legacy and my tenure, but whether it is me as Secretary General or someone else as Secretary General, I would like to see at the end of the next 5 years, 5 things. I would like to see that the reforms that the UN is engaged in right now would have yielded results on the ground in particular. I would also like to see that some of the conflicts that we have right now have ended, and that also where there were conflicts that were brewing, that we would have prevented them as well. On the development side, I would like to see that we made progress with the IFIs and that the needle has moved in terms of access to finance, but also in terms of private sector investment. Of course, I would like to see the human rights situation improved as well. And I would also like to see that the question on whether a woman can lead the UN was answered resoundingly and affirmatively.